Okay, YouTube, I'm doing something really stupid right now, something I've never done before, and I don't know how it's going to go. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it the best shot I've got, but let's hope it works out. A buddy of mine has an old boat that he bought, and it's having problems running. It's one of those things that the motor, it runs, kinda. They got it out on the water, it ran for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden just stopped. They literally had to row the boat in. They opened up the engine compartment. It's an outboard motor, so they took out all the surrounding casing and stuff. And they started monkeying with things, doing this, doing that, and basically they were able to get the motor to start as long as they were spraying carb injector into it. So that tells me that there's something wrong with the carburetor. It's not, you know, it was opening and closing for air like it's supposed to, but I don't think the gas is getting into it. So I think something's going on internally into the carburetor where the stuff is all gunked up on the inside. I'm going to give it a shot on actually cleaning it up and see if I can get these carbies to run. There's two of them, okay? I'm going to see if I can get them working. Hoping. Anyway, I'm basically filming this as I'm going along. I don't know if I'm actually going to put this up on YouTube or not, but I want to film it as I'm going, so if I stuff something up or if I need to go back and look at something saying where does this part go, how does it go in, I can look at this footage and say, oh, that's the way it goes. So yeah, that's more the reason I'm actually filming this, is to make sure that I can get this thing torn apart and put back together the right way. First thing I want to do though, I'm actually going to, these gas lines are held together with zip ties. I'm going to cut the zip ties off there and there, well, at least one of them anyway, just so I can separate them and I can work on them individually instead of clunking around having both of them connected together. So let's get to work. All right, gonna try to cut it off with a knife. Okay, gotta make sure I don't cut through the hose, which I did not. Should be able to just pull it out. Oh. All right, got them pulled apart. Now what I want to do is I think I'm going to start with these 4 screws here. Not very tight in there. There is a small washer, looks like a locking washer. And that will be on all 4 of them, I'm assuming. Okay, so I got this top part off. However, it is 2 pieces. So you can see there's gasket material running right in through there. It looks like there's a small slot right there, so I can put a screwdriver in there and pry it out. Alright, crack that open. Alright, so that's what it looks like on the inside. Doesn't look like there's much of anything left to here, although I'm going to take this blue cap off and check that out. This here looks like it's 2 different things. It looks like maybe a gasket and a filter. Alright, so I'm going to have to get new gaskets. I'll probably have to get a whole kit. There is some that's stuck on right there. I'm going to take a razor blade and clean that off. I'm not gouging into the metal, I'm just very, very lightly touching it. Alright, so that's all cleaned up, looks good. I'm not seeing anything on there. Alright, now I'm going to take off the blue top here. It's just held together with that one screw. Okay, looks like under the blue cap, it looks like there's a little bit of a residue from a gasket, so I'll clean that out of there. And there's the other portion of it. It does have a gasket, which will need to be replaced. I think the screen, once I clean off all that material, I can reuse the screen. But everything else looks pretty good. Air blows through there very well. So there's no plug in that tube there. Okay, just for my own reference, this was actually the bottom carbie indicated by this top screw because it held a linkage between the two carbies. So this with the screw on it is the bottom carbie. Alright, before I go any farther with this, I'm going to scrape off all this old gasket material that's still there. Again, just using a razor blade, not much pressure, just kind of very, very carefully scratch it off. Alright, as you can see, there's still some dark on there. I'm having a hard time scraping any more off. I'm hoping that a soak in some Caro will take care of the rest of that. Here's another then there was another gasket. Go around, clean off any residual material along this edge. So the rest of that is cleaned up now. And actually in there it looks pretty decently clean. It doesn't look too bad at all. Alright, let's take this bell off. All my wrenches are out in the garage and I don't feel like running out there to get them, so I'm going to use an adjustable. That was okay, it wasn't super tight. There is a small red washer on the underside of that small bolt. Cap has come off. It looks like there is a gasket, or yep, there's a gasket lip all the way around there. And I'm not seeing any material left on that bell cap. Alright, there's a look at what was underneath. Looks like there's some sort of a seal or something in there. Looks like there's a bit of corrosion going on right down there. I think I can just wipe that off. This is the float, this bouncy bit. I should be able to pull that off by pulling that pin out. Alright, so next step is to undo that screw. I was able to get that little screw loose. Just had to kind of break the little bit of corrosion that was on there. there's a little bitty hole in there, and then, as you can see, you can see through that hole. So that's not plugged. That's in good shape. I may have to get a hammer and a small nail to see if I can get this pin out. Okay, I got the pin most of the way out. I got it out far enough to at least get the float off. That's where I'm at. I'm going to just leave that in. I'm not even going to try pulling it out the rest of the way. Looks like there's something right here that was right underneath that float. I believe that's the pin, and let's see if I can get that out of there. I pulled the pin out. Basically, I got a small screwdriver just inside the little spring here and just kept on pulling. It was stuck in there pretty good, so that might be our problem right there. So the pin is now out. Alright, I see this one here and this one here. I'm going to take those out and see what those are. Okay, I might not be able to do it on this one. It's got red Loctite all over it, so I might not be able to pull that one out. I was able to get the other one off. Okay, a little Caro bath, and that one's good to go. I'm going to just set that aside on my paper. I also got one little screw down in this area here, right down in there. I'm going to see if I can get that out. Oh yeah, that's not tight at all. Okay, look at there. That's what came out of that other hole. Got a spring there. Nope, that's all built together. That's not a washer, that's just all one piece. Alright, so all this other stuff on here, I shouldn't have to take that off. So yeah, like this thing here, I'm going to leave that attached. This here I'm going to leave attached. It open and close the airflow. I'm just going to put this whole thing into Caro and soak it. I'm not sure for how long, but I'm going to give it some time to really get in there and penetrate and break up whatever might be stuck inside the unit. Okay, I got my carburetor rebuild kit in the mail today. It's been a few days. I actually ripped into the carburetor before I actually ordered the kit, but it came in the mail today, and now I want to jump in and I want to start reassembling them. It's fairly simple. It's just getting everything in the proper order. That's the key thing, you know, because there were so many filters and gaskets and stuff like that. So we need to make sure that we're getting them in the right order. So I got them laid out, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, since I'm working on two carbies, I can actually keep one fully connected and show you which layer I'm working on, and then I can assemble the other one. So what I've got laid out here is everything in order. So the blue piece is on the top, the cork will go underneath that, the screen will go underneath all that, and then these three get put on top of this. Same thing here. You got the diaphragm, the gasket, you know, the diaphragm will go on top of the gasket, and then that will go on top of this. And then same thing here, the plastic screen will go on top of this kind of rubbery, thin rubbery gasket, and then both of those will go on top of this cardboard gasket, and then all of that gets put onto the carburetor itself. So that's my philosophy on how I'm doing it. Or I could do it the other way around. So the only thing that did not come in this rebuild kit was this little metal screen from under the blue cap. I thought I was going to have to keep this one, and I don't. I got a brand new one, so the old one got thrown out. Also, for around the bell, there were two gaskets, one around the screw, this one right here. Got a new one of those, and there was also one on top of this post right above the float, and that's actually going to sit there like that. So yeah, I got all the components. I even got a new seal for the bell around the bell body. Everything came except for this one little metal screen, so you will have to keep that. Okay, so we can basically put it together. So like I said, I can put that on, I can put that on, and then the blue cap goes on top. Alright, I think that's good. It's not moving. Now this one here, there are little points sticking up. I got 3 of them on this one. And gasket's got holes to go onto those points. Diaphragm will go on top of that. And then this, the one with the blue cap, will actually go on top of all of that. So it's all sandwiched together. This is what we're going to layer on. So my paper gasket will go on right here. Then we got kind of a rubbery gasket that will lay on top of that. Then you have this plasticky yellow one. And then this sits down on top. Okay, so that's it. It's all layered back together. I just need to put the 4 screws into the holes here. Everything's nice and tight. I don't see any big puckers or anything like that. So I would say that's in good shape. I like the way that looks. Okay, let's do the bell. We'll start with the weird shaped gasket there. I'll just sit in there, and then I'll put the gray gasket, goes right on top of that. The bell goes over the top of that. The red washer, gasket, whatever you want to call it, goes on the screw, and then we just screw it in. Take a pair of pliers or a wrench and tighten it up. I don't know if there's an actual spec on how tight to put that, so I just went until I felt it was good. But it seems like it's seated in there really well. And then for the gasket that goes here, they of course do supply that as well. And I'm going to actually have to double check because I noticed there's a small hole right there in the gasket, and I'm not sure where it goes to here. So I don't know if it goes like that, or if it goes like that, or if it goes like that. So there's 3 different ways that this could go. I'm thinking that it goes like that, I think, because this channel here has 2 little ports there, so if that gets all sealed up, that's fine. And then it looks like I would assume this is gas coming out of here, would circle around and vent out that hole, I'm assuming. So I'm going to have to double check my footage and see if I caught a picture of how this gasket sits. Okay, I got the 2 carbies on. Got the upper one with the fuel inlet pointing downwards. You got the lower one with it pointing upwards. And I'm going to replace the fuel hoses that were connecting these. I was looking at them real close and they got all cracked and everything, so I'm going to just replace them. Also in one packet I got 1 extra piece. They had 2 of these in there, so that's nothing. I'll just throw that away. Alright, well, this is Mark saying thanks again for watching, and I hope you learned something on how to renew your carburetors. Each one's different, okay? What I did on these, you know, if I was to take the carburetor off my bike, it would be a completely different system. So yeah, unfortunately, I mean, you may have learned something from this. You know, if anything, take away the fact that as you're working on them, take pictures, take video, explain to yourself what you're doing and how things are put together and stuff. That way when you go to put them together, you can reference what you've already done. Alright, this is Mark. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the road.